Terry,
Steffi.
welcome to the Get Steffed, a hairdresser in conversation podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure, Tez. So this
Yeah.
is, I think you're my my fourth guest, which is very exciting.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
And I've asked you on the show because over the years, with you as my hairdressing client on and off, we've just had some fantastic conversations, Terry, where we've changed the world in an instant.
We have. And I'm so excited that you've begun this journey. This is so good.
It is good, right? You know, it's fun.
Totally.
It's like just following the breadcrumbs of what feels good.
Yeah. And I know our conversations, or most of the conversations I have with people, go in many different directions.
This is it.
So I think it'll be a real challenge for your listeners to hang in there. But
I think
all I can say is, buckle up.
Buckle up. And Terry, I wanted that. I want that because the way you think is unique and it is inspiring to me. Anyway, it's like
Thank you.
Whenever you've left our time together, whether it's a haircut or we're out at a soccer game having a chat, whatever it is, I know when we disconnect and you go your way and I go my way, I've always got food for thought. Mm-hmm. And I do really love that about you. So I think, to be fair, I'll just give our listeners a little bit of a rundown of bits and pieces of who you are. And, of course, we'll dive a bit deeper into that as we go along. Does that sound okay?
That sounds great.
All right. Well, basically, Terry is a brilliant videographer. Have I said that correctly? Videographer?
Yep. Yeah. That's the one-stop shop.
One-stop.
Do it all.
Right. So that means film, then edit, and then deliver. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
And that is only one facet of who Terry is, affectionately known as Tez, right?
Yeah.
So
correct.
If I let that one slip, people, I'm still talking about Terry, Tez.
Yes. Yeah. Or Tezza.
Tezza,
Yeah.
Or Bomber. Oh my God, it goes on.
Oh, Bombers. Yeah, that's the footy nickname. Yeah, you got to have a footy nickname. Yeah. Yeah.
Totally. And look, Tez is really passionate about, I feel, and please stop me if I'm wrong, but my interpretation of you, Terry, is you are all about connection.
Yeah, I just love people.
This is it.
I love culture and if society fascinates me. It's like, wow, look how we've formed our identities and how we've sort of all in it together and how that looks. And I just love those stories from people of how they found their way to where they are right now.
And how do you feel the medium of video helps, supports that vision for you?
Yeah, I suppose growing up, I've always been a visual learner. So I struggled with the teacher sort of verbalizing what we're about to do or what trying to teach me that way. Even the football coach, we'd get in the huddle and he'd sort of say, all right, boys, we're going to do this next drill. And I'd think, what the hell did he just say? What does that look like? So I don't know if that could be diagnosed as something in this modern time now. But back then, it's sort of, I needed to have someone show me what it was they meant.
A visual
and then
learner.
I could absorb. That's it. So it's probably, that's why the video world sort of appealed to me the most. A lot of the learning I've done, particularly in this in the film and television world, has been from YouTube and watching others and being mentored by an uncle. It hasn't been in books.
But I think that's what comes across whenever anyone looks at your work, even if it is, for a corporation or if it is for a more mainstream purpose, I think what comes across quite naturally is there's just something different about it.
Yeah, I suppose with any art form,
Mm.
you can't you can only produce something that is part of you. Um, I don't know if you can really mask that. So I suppose the energy that I have in my everyday sort of gets transmitted into that product.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I've yet, you know, I haven't really stuffed it up yet.
I love that.
You know, where I've edited something and someone's come back and said, "Oh, gee, you didn't quite get that right, did you?" It's like, oh no. So I think I've definitely enjoyed what video does for people. I think it's a very powerful medium. It's a real opportunity to deliver a story to someone and let them absorb it in their own space and time, rather
Mm.
than meeting them in a at a coffee shop or over the phone or something. Because you just don't. There's other app. They've got other apps on. They might have, there's many things, but if they get a link to a video that tells your story or shows you in your strength, then they can sit there and really connect to it, I think, and walk away knowing, what the cut of your jib is.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, now I know what Steffi's about.
Mm. Mm.
So I've enjoyed what video does as far as it tends to bring in your people rather than that say sensationalized type of advertising
Yeah.
for different things
Because I
where you
guess
end up.
we're only going to click on the video if we really want to look at it.
Oh, totally. And you know what? Within seconds, we'll click off the video if we don't, if we're feeling like we're being sold to or being, told an untruth. So yeah, I love video. I love it.
So
And
I'm just thinking back
yeah,
over the last 5, 6 years of knowing you, and you've had some pretty cool projects that you've involved or you've created and gone down the road with. And you've also had a long term project that's bubbling along. I don't know if you want to talk about that one, but
oh yeah.
my question to you though is
Mm.
right now today, what what's your most favorite project that you've done or are in the process of doing with video right now?
Well, I really think video could be used in a way that I haven't seen it being used that much at the moment for connecting communities. So I think there's an opportunity to connect people with the history of their area, um, and more on a regular basis. So we have, like in Bangalore, we've got the Bangalore Herald, which I love that when it comes in my letterbox. It's like it's stories about people and locals and how they got here, and so I love that type of storytelling, and I love elders. I lived with my grandmother for 5 years. When my grandfather died, she needed someone to just um, be around,
Mm.
and I really love listening to people that have lived a life, and have so much. I sort of call them our human libraries,
Mm.
you know.
Love that.
And so what I'm working on at the moment, and this has been probably longer than uh, it should have been, but it just but in saying that, you know what, things are done. They all happen for a reason, and they take time,
And who cares?
and they yeah,
Time is just a perception, right?
yeah,
Isn't it?
yeah. They get delivered. They get delivered when the timing is right. And then there's one at the moment I've shot about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Filmed it with the it's the old the building, elders building. I'm just trying to think. The readings
Oh
building,
yeah.
and one one of the local historians in town, Jan Holbert. She drives the old Holden around town.
Oh, yeah, I
Uh,
know
I,
Jan.
yes, and I have so much time for her storytelling. I think she's photographed nearly everything that's ever happened in the town. Um, and look, she has her understanding of the history, and I know we've done some walk and talks on live Facebook, and that's gone over well with the people that have lived through those times. And anyway, she was so organised to be able to, yeah, she got onto one of the old readings grandchildren, I think, and he just turned 91, or was about to turn 91 on the day we shot. And he came back to that building. He drove himself from Southport, I think, where he lives, and he's just fit as a fiddle. And we walked through that building, and he told me all about the memories of growing up, uh, and what some of the things were. You know, there were little cutouts on the top of the walls, and he said, "Oh, that was our money system. It had tracks, and you put the and so yeah, so that's in. I've sort of rough cutted it, and I keep working it every now and then, and I think, it needs to be out there and shown. So I'd like to see more of that,
Mm.
um, and that's what I'll continue to do, to look for those sort of stories. Um, the one that's been probably the longest project, do you want me to touch on
I
that?
love that because it's fascinating, this idea.
Yeah. So okay, so where I was at in my life, I had a hi-fi business or audio visual business. Just built a new shop, and 8 staff I think we had, and it was very busy. And a mate that I hadn't seen for about 15 years. Now, I met this guy um, when I was 6 at Little Athletics, and my parents put me in Little Athletics because I have to tell that story too. So there's stories upon
I
stories.
love it.
But as a kid, I used to run away a lot. So I was a naughty kid. So I would kick the fly wire off. I'd be sent to my bedroom, kick the fly wire off, and I'd just jump the fence and run. And I would run away quite a lot of kilometres. And someone said to my parents, "Look, maybe you should just put this kid in Little Athletics. He likes to run. Why not embrace it?" So they dropped me down there, and oh man, I just found my people.
Mm.
It was like, I love this place. So that began a love affair of running, and running to me, I've attached fun and community, and just being around other kids. And so where running can mean other things for other people, could
Right.
mean punishment.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Torture
go
comes
run,
to
and I'm going
mind for me,
to
Terry.
there you go. So, but for me and my mate, it's all about fun and the ability to, really nearly meditation, I would think. So anyway, so he was passing through. That's right. He was living up at Maroochydore, and he was going down south to live with kids, and he popped in. We went for lunch, and like I said, I was in full business mindset. I was wealth creation. I just built this building, and I'd fitted it out with all the smart home options for people. And anyway, we're having lunch, and he says, "Oh, look, Bomber is what he calls me, because that's the nickname from
Got
childhood."
it.
He said, "Bomber, I've had a dream, and or a vision. You and I'll be running around 48 cities around the world, and people will watch this on treadmills." And I said, "Okay, you've had a dream. So who actually even actions anything off a dream?" That was weird to me at the time. I thought, "Oh, what's happened to you, mate? You've lost the plot." But where he got me was, he said, "How about this for a business model? You don't have a shop, you don't have staff." I thought, "Oh, shit, okay." And you do something you love when you're ready to do it, and possibly you make money while it's overnight, while you're sleeping, there's stuff going on. I thought, man, you got me. Okay, when can we start?
Because that would have
That was
been
15.
completely opposite to where you were at that point.
Most definitely. I was selling someone else's product, which would break down occasionally, which was like a death in the family to some of the people we were selling, because they were, tens of thousands of dollars, these televisions or cinema screens. Um, and so, what I learned in that industry was, that no matter how good I was, the stuff breaks. And I was really, I was on a journey of, I'd love to be able to make my own product and give it to the world. And just that way, if something was wrong, I can fix it. It's on me. I can't. So yeah, he really did open up. Anyway, so it didn't go very far. I said, "Oh, mate, I've just built this shop. Forget it." But we kept talking, and eventually that business had some challenges along the way, like products breaking, and my energy was dropping very quickly. So within about 3 years, I think, I sold that business, but had that idea, his idea, in the back of my mind. It was sort of like the bridge from the world I thought that I wanted to another world. And
The
so
unknown.
anyway, the unknown, the creativity, the art form. So
Love
then
it.
I began a journey of trying to figure out how to run with a camera, because back then, and how you make that watchable, because you're running with a camera, it's just up and down, and oh man, I had GoPros attached to hats, and
Yeah.
I won't go into the finer details, but anyway, over 15 years, because that's when the original idea was told, we finally got to the point early this year to fly over to Asia and begin filming season one. And it was a 2 week schedule, and we captured 12 runs. And we started at Yangon and ended up in Ho Chi Minh City, and we sort of weaved through 5 different countries. And then COVID was sort of unfolding in the background. We were at these Airbnbs, had the television on, and CNN were talking about, this COVID thing. And I was like, we were, every day things were getting shut down. And I was like, wow, are we going to get back to Australia?
Oh,
So we got back, and we put a few of the runs together. But the idea of that business was that once we've started rolling them out, we would continue to roll them out. And I think there's something like 192 runs, and consecutively. So, one a week, you get a new run, you'd run that on your treadmill, and away you go. So anyway, once COVID shut all the airlines down, we couldn't go to our next destination, which was Italy.
right.
Yeah, the epicenter at the time. But then we sort of figured, well, you know what? It's probably going to be the safest place in the world, because it's had a good dose of COVID. So anyway, we're on hold now. We put a few out, and then because we couldn't continue on, we've pulled them back off, and so they're not for anyone yet.
Yeah, okay. But they're bubbling away still.
They're bubbling away.
Yeah.
So I've sort of now triggered things. COVID's really helped me trigger things that have always been put to the side, and because I've been too busy with other things. And it's like, no, actually, Tezza, now's the time to trigger those side hustles. Let's do the process and start seeing how. So I've probably amped up the video production business quite a lot, which has been a challenge for me, because I sort of don't want to overload my schedule. I'm pro family, so
Yeah.
I just make sure I make myself available to, and that's what my big change was, selling the business. I knew when I had the audio visual business, I was never home. I was drinking most days. I was overweight. I was just, I don't know. I'd have to nearly say I wasn't me.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
appreciate that honesty, Tez. All of us go there, to those places where we are a version of ourselves that we don't identify with.
Yeah, it was like, I read business magazines, and it was like aspiring to be. So I was caught in a what I call like a potential world. Like
Mm,
if I keep doing this, I'll eventually become that.
mm,
Um, and that was, I had a great debt cycle. Million plus in debt,
mm.
million plus in assets, and it was like, oh, okay, now you're on a treadmill. You cannot not work each day because
Yeah,
you've got to service that debt. So when we got out of that, the debt was basically gone, and I had the ability to really say, okay, Tessa, well, what would you do if you weren't paid to do it? And that was the question I kept asking myself. Not, oh, well, where's the money? Go chase the money. It's like, no, no, no. What is it that you would do that, like as a kid, kids would build a spaceship in Lego,
yeah.
and they weren't paid to do that. They needed that spaceship for that next game that they were going to play. And so I found, the camera world, capturing my family was just so rewarding. I'd capture them, and then I'd create a little clip for them, and then we'd watch it. And now we have those films now, and they still watch them. Their 5-year-old selves are on
Oh,
there.
wow. And that's made me think of the bigger Brown family video trip in Cambodia.
Yes, well, there's still a lot in the can there.
Yeah.
I think I rolled out a couple, and it just, it was like, wow. We need, So that's another one in the hopper that needs to be put out there, because the Cambodia trip was basically my kids wanting to go somewhere, and I just could not do a Bali by the pool trip. I said, no, I just can't.
Mm.
I need to be active. Let's go do something, with that culture. And luckily, Keza, my wife, found a friend that did tours over there, and you build wash houses with the Cambodians. So you're not just going over there building something and saying, all right, there's your asset, good luck. It was, no, they were building it. We were like, it was like the block, we were just carrying buckets of sand and things, and the Cambodians were doing the true building. But my kids just thrived in that environment. Just they were so, they couldn't believe how happy, the people that they'd seen there, how they just look at you and smile. And those tuk-tuks, you were never out of, energetically, you were never out of their society, because you could, fly through in the tuk-tuk, and you'd still smell the smells of whatever was going on there, uh, and connect with the people. So, it was a fantastic trip.
So do you reckon that experience really grew them, your children?
Yeah, yeah. I definitely, because because the people we were around, English was their second language,
Ah,
and they were still trying to learn it, So I think the great thing was that, we were able to help, because over there, basically what I learned was that if you don't have a good English, then you can't really tap into the tourism industry. Uh, so generally money wise, you're going to be on a low paying wage. But if you have good English, then you can do roles over there that engage tourism, or even non for profits, or whatever it may be. But English is where the money train is in that culture.
so how do you reckon video really, oh, added to your trip?
Well, yeah. I wondered that, even for me, because I was videoing. I captured everything pretty much. So I suppose at times I thought, well, hang on, was I present while I
Yeah,
was there?
yeah.
Was I an observer? And but I must say that the one thing, and you've been part of my video process over the years, I taught myself how to um, have the camera on, but put it aside, and I truly am. I think I'm very mindful when I'm filming. Like I tend to not get caught behind the camera so much. So um, yeah. So I think look, there's some good shit there
Yeah.
in that in the Cambodia trip. I just got to dig it
I
out.
bet there
And
is, Tez.
so you've motivated me, Steffi. It's going to go on the
Look
list, that
out.
one. Oh
But on the
man,
subject of your process when you are filming slash interviewing slash connecting, I think for me, that's what I really loved about being on the other side of the camera with you, Tez, was that it was so strange. It was like the camera was definitely there, but you and I could still have conversations over it or through it. And
mm.
yeah, it felt very natural. It didn't feel like, it felt like the camera was just something that was there as a side note.
Yeah. Well, it was something that I learned through filming the family over the years. It was like, how do I have this thing? Because I want to capture these moments, and then I want to have conversations with people, and I want to capture that because I think they're moments that could be shared to
Mm.
others, a bit like what you're doing with the podcast. Um, so yeah, so I suppose the techniques that I began to try out, and it was trial and error. My first camera was big, and it was just people would, as soon as I hit record, they'd be another version of themselves.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, hang on,
Yeah.
where'd that person go?
Mm.
I want the person before I hit the record. So I learned then, okay, let's make the camera as small as possible, but with the highest quality possible. And the cameras now, the DSLRs, they are unbelievable quality, more quality than what's needed because most of us watch them on our tablets and phones anyway, which is, you don't need enormous quality for that. So yeah, I've definitely enjoyed crafting those sort of skills with what I do.
Well, Tezzy, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing a little bit of your process, your creative process, and the way that you think about people and cultural ideas and family and connections and storytelling. Your work is visual storytelling. So, yeah, just thank you so much for coming on and sharing that.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks, Steffi. And yeah, keep doing what you're doing, babe. It's a
Thanks.
beautiful thing.
Thanks, honey chops. So what I want to do is put links to your social media, and you got a website going at the moment. I haven't checked.
Got our website. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
just I'll want to encourage everyone just to take a look at Tez. Is well worth following and just observing, and he's a really, really interesting man, a very special man, and I hope everybody's
Thank you.
enjoyed listening to our conversation. And Tez, I can't help but think I want to ask you back to dive into some other stuff. Would you be willing?
All right, I'd love
Yep.
to. Totally. Let's do
Good
it.
man. All right. Well, we shall say sayonara today, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Okay. See you, everybody.
Bye. Excellent. Tez, that was really beautiful.
Ah,